let's finish animating the camera. Camera animation can be quite tricky at times, even for subtle shots as what we're working with here. But I'm just going to go ahead and direct you through a way I like to use or go about by animating the camera. First off, let's go ahead and give it a more smoother interpolation. We will we'll first select the camera, make sure we're in our shot cam, and then we'll go to our perspective and graph editor view next, and then just apply the plateau setting. Okay, so from here, what we can now do is go to our shot camera, and we can leave our graph editor open so we can see what's happening. And let's even go to the beginning of the animation. Okay, so as we hit play, see that the character seems to move into the scene. And remember, we want to keep this like eye movement in a way. We also want to make sure things don't happen too quickly. So, looks like the camera's moving too quickly as it goes from frames 1 to 20. Maybe we can go to the Translate X, frame that key, and just bring this up a little bit more so that it's not happening too fast. And we do want it to ease in to the next pose or the next key. And then we're going to leave the camera at the position on frame 20 all the way to about frame 48, and then have the camera move back rather quickly to reveal the wagon. So on frame 20, we'll go there, and then let's middle mouse button click on frame 48, press Shift W and Shift D to lock in the pose there. And then we can take this key on frame 70 and actually move this up to, let's say, about 54. Let's see how the timing looks here, because we want this to actually be a part of our gag as well, even the camera movement. Okay, so let's go ahead and look into to see what we have. We'll hit play. Alright, great. So by doing this, we basically, by animating the camera moving back quickly, it adds a nice take to the animation, revealing that, okay, this is really just a cardboard cutout. Who's this guy trying to fool? Alright, so now from here we can add a little bit of in-between motion so that the camera is not static. Okay, if it's going to be moving, we want to keep it moving, even ever so slightly. So on frame 36, we can go there, just hold Alt, hold the middle mouse button, and just add just a slight amount of motion to this. And then we could hit play to see if it's not too much. Alright, so that might be a little bit too much. So from here, we could just bring our attention to the graph editor and work on looking at the keys that we have moved, which is our translate keys. We can take up this key on frame 36. We'll move it up a little bit more so it's not moving as much for the translate X. We'll go to the translate Y, frame that, and do the same. Just hold Shift and move this up. Okay, and then we can go to the translate Z and look at this key, press F, and move that up just slightly, not much. Okay, we could hit play. Alright, so that's not looking too bad at all. What we could also do, so that we get a better ease in, go into our Translate X, we can possibly take this key on 20 and bring up its tangency just a little bit so we have more of a nicer cushion. Let's see how this looks. Alright, great. And looking into this a little bit further, just want to make sure that it's not moving too much before we move on. Alright, that'll be fine. So now for the duration of this, we can even bring our range to the full amount. And we'll just add a little bit of motion for our translation, and then we'll add even a slight amount for our rotation, and then well, basically to finish off the camera movement. So we could even go to about frame 89 and just have the camera move slightly here. Remember, just how would your eye move as you are targeting on a certain object? Won't add any camera shake at all to the impact of the cardboard, okay, because it's not as heavy, but you can if you like, and that would just involve having your keys a little bit closer as you move the camera. But because we're striving for subtlety, we'll go ahead and space this out a little bit more. Maybe go to about 143 and again just move the camera slightly. Okay, and then even on 185, move it slightly in that same direction. And then at about 254 we could start to move it down and then another direction. And then on 300 we could just again do a slight change, slight offset. Alright, let's see how this looks. We could even hide our curves and just hit play. Alright, great. So that's actually looking quite well. What I'd like to look at is the speed at which the camera is coming back. I wonder if it can come back a little bit faster than it does. Let's see. Let's go ahead and select the camera again and go back to our graph editor. If we needed to, we could even use our free tangents, free weighted tangents on this translate Z as it does come back. Okay, but before that, let's even select this key on frame 54 and we'll go ahead and break its tangency and move that down. Let's see how this looks. Hit play. Okay. Alright, so that doesn't look too bad at all. I think I like that. Alright, so now that we've done this, we could just add a little bit of movement to some of our rotation axes to finish this. So for this, we can go to our custom layout and select the camera, or should still be selected, but we'll make it visible in the perspective. And then go to our rotate tool and just rotate starting out with the Y. And again, this is just going to be very minimal. So we can even start by adding a key on, let's say, frame 54. Just go there and make sure we have key set for our rotate X and also rotate Y. Okay, we won't worry about the Z at all. And what I like to do is select the shot camera so it'll be active so we can see the movement that's going on. And then on about 103 we can rotate the camera just really slightly to the character's left. And then we're really just adding in-betweens here. So like, let's say on 160 we rotate it slightly to the opposite direction. And then see how that looks. Then on about 231 or so, we can go ahead and rotate it back in the opposite direction, but not much at all. And then by 300, we'll rotate it again back to the other direction. Okay, great. So here's what we end up with. If we hit play. Alright, so now it's starting to really look like someone's standing there. watching this guy make a fool of himself. Alright, so to finish this, let's go ahead and just add a little bit of movement in the rotation X. So we'll just go ahead and just add a little bit of movement in between the keys that we currently have, in the areas with more space. Just up, down, up, and then at the end, down even more slightly. And then from here, we'll go ahead and hide our curves. Let's go ahead and hit play and see how this looks. Alright, great. So that's looking quite well. It almost looks like the rotation X is moving a little bit too much at the end. So let's just select our camera. We'll go back to our graph editor. Perspective and graph editor. We'll switch our panel back to the shot camera. Select the rotation X, frame it, and yes, it's moving a little bit too much. So we could take this key on 300, hold shift and bring this up because we don't want it to move as much. Okay, given the spacing between this key on 276 to 300. Great. So if we like, we can now go ahead and just hide our curves and work on doing a play blast to see how this looks in real time. Here we have it. Great, so by adding just a little bit of subtle camera motion, we've added even more life to our scene that way. Great, well, now that this is done, we're ready to start bringing our attention to our character, and we have made great progress already. We already have the cardboard cutout animated, we have the camera finalized, so let's go ahead and work on correcting the watchman's motion.